Welcome, folks, to episode 147 of the Morgue Official Corpsefeed podcast, and I am Arturo Padilla, the guy behind the face, and with me, always, is Mr. Nick Valdez. Tex, how you doing, man?
Oh man, howdy everybody, howdy Arturo. It's been a minute. It feels like forever for us, because you and I took a little spring break.
We did, yeah, we did.
But it feels like forever because while we were away, the one time we decided to go on break, right? And suddenly all the news ever came out over these last 2 weeks.
Massive amount of information just popped off.
So we are going to just blast through these coming attractions and, just catch up. So the first thing is we got the trailer for Pixar's next big movie, Elemental. And it looks good. I think that's as much as I can say good about it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good, but it looks Disney Plus good. It doesn't look a movie theater good, The story also looks very generic, very, standard affair kind of stuff. You can't mix elements and, fire and water and blah, blah, blah. And, all this
romance across different worlds.
Yeah, dude, it's very cookie
Yeah.
cutter stuff. Again, I'm not sure what Pixar's trying to prove with this one. Usually when Pixar does stuff, they try their best to kind of innovate, right? And do something that hasn't been done. This one, honestly, I feel like I'm watching like a subplot of Inside Out or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It feels like a movie another studio would make, right? It's like be who you are, be your own person. Like,
yeah, very DreamWorks, right?
Yeah, like it's just. It's
it's very I do wish it was on Disney Plus, not in theaters. I don't think, like I said before, I don't think this looks theater worthy.
I mean, compare this to like Luca, which was like, it dropped during the pandemic, but that one would have been a theater movie.
Luca was so good. Luca was very, very good. I don't think it doesn't even come close to that. Just based off what I've seen. Again, we could be wrong, but just based off the trailer.
Yeah.
It's very generic, very whack.
Yeah. So speaking of, well, not generic, that was a bad transition, but in terms of like looking good, we got the newest trailer for Barbie, which was the first actual trailer that showed us what kind of movie this is going to be. But at the same time, I have no idea what kind of movie this is going to be.
It is something, right? It's something different. I have, like, as you just said, I have no clue what exactly we have in store for the audience in this movie. I don't see any story yet. I see a bunch of different kinds of characters. They have a slew of different Barbies, with a bunch of different varying careers and stuff. But still, we get no semblance of any kind of story there.
All we know is that Barbie's going to the real world.
Real world, right?
But so that's the thing. Like, what kind of movie is it going to be after that? Like, is it going to be like when Barbie goes to the real world? Is this like a dark movie? Is this, because it doesn't seem like it's for kids, because you got that last joke at the end where they're like, "Oh, I'll beat you off,"
Yeah, it's Greta Gerwig, right? And she usually makes these indie darling kind of movies and stuff like that.
Which is why I'm like, what's the shoe? What's the other shoe, right? Like, what is the other thing?
It needs to, it has to gear towards a younger audience only because of the brand behind it, right? Mattel's behind it. So I don't think they want to make a risque PG-13 affair, right? What is it rated, by the way? Do you know? Is it PG-13 or is it
I don't know. I have not paid close enough attention. I will be 100%
honest. You have a bunch of characters in there that can easily make this PG-13. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so that's the thing. Like, there are already jokes in here where it's like, it's a little more teen friendly. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
you know what it feels like, Tex? It feels like an early animated flick. Where the toys go into the real world kind of stuff.
Right.
So maybe Gearwig took that kind of inspiration and just made it into people and gave it that emotional thing she does with her movies.
And giving it credit, it looks like a Barbie movie. right? Like there's that gag where like she like steps out of her shoe.
Oh
and
yeah,
like still
and then her heel still curves, just like the freaking doll is, right?
Yeah, so
that's good stuff,
kudos to Barbie. Moving on with something that's like dramatically different. We got the first trailer for Extraction 2,
dramatically which is different indeed.
It is the totally different end of the spectrum, right? So Chris Hemsworth, I forget the director's name. It's not one of the Russo brothers. It's like
it's not the Russos.
No, one of the Russos, Joe, I think, wrote the movie, but I forget the director is somebody different.
Oh, because the Russos did the first one.
Yeah. I noticed that in the trailer that is a different director, and let's talk about it for a second while I
for sure. But, last time we left Extraction, we saw that Chris Hemsworth's character was dead adjacent, right? He fell off that bridge after he was shot and blown up, and God knows what else was done.
Straight up confirmed, like in the trailer, that this is a part 2. This isn't like a part 2.
Yeah. It seems like off the bat they wanted to get that out of the way. It's like, we saved him afterwards. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
We gave him medical attention and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, okay, cool, whatever. Let's move on. But this one looks dope. It looks like we're getting more of that really close hand-to-hand combat stuff. There's that one sequence we see in the trailer where he's in like this prison like yard or something, or riot or something is going down, and somebody hits him with a brick, and he's dazed, but the camera's like just doing a shot of him, and he's going kind of crazy, and it looks cool. I'm excited about it. I really enjoyed the first Extraction.
Yeah, Sam Hargrave, who also directed the first one, so he did.
So the Russos didn't even direct the first one.
No, they
just produced it, I guess.
As producers. Yeah.
That's trickery, Netflix.
Yeah, but importantly, I believe he was the stunt coordinator for like Civil War and stuff like that. So like that's probably why the fight scene we get in the trailer looks so cool, man. I can't wait to see that in the movie with like Hemsworth throwing his fire punch.
Yeah, that was awesome, dude. First movie had dope. It had a lot of very cool action set pieces, right?
Yeah,
so,
but also,
I'm hoping we get the same here.
Yeah. Also, Hemsworth wasn't wasn't the big star of the first one.
No, it wasn't.
That's why I'm curious, right?
Yeah, because it was the bodyguard. I forget what his name was, but we raved all about it. In the previous episode, go check that out in the archive. But it was the bodyguard, this Indian dude, right?
Yes.
Who was just absolutely
so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He was so awesome, and he looked so cool doing the awesome stuff because his hair was always in the way and stuff.
Yeah.
And he had the big sacrifice at the end of the first one. It seems like maybe in this one he has to save a little girl or something. I saw a little girl in the trailer.
I mean, dude, I'm down.
He has to extract somebody from somewhere. So
yes, and you know what? It's a Netflix movie. 2 hours of action. I hope it's not bloated. It's we'll see when we get there, right?
Listen, first of all, just that trailer, it looks good and it's full of action, right? Just like our next up, right? Hearing like incoming attractions, we finally get the trailer for Blue Beetle, the first under James Gunn's umbrella, right?
Yes, he hasn't outright confirmed it, which is stupid. He should straight up be like, he's thrown out tweets and stuff of showing support and all that, but this is DC Studios, right? Like they should straight up, James Gunn should be like straight up be like, oh yeah, well Blue Beetle's a part of my plans, because if he's not, then I'm like, well,
then what's the point?
That
conversation starts all over again, right?
Yes. And at the same time, though, it's different with Blue Beetle, right? Because Blue Beetle's brand new. He's a little I don't know what ethnicity he is specifically in the movie. I want to say Mexican because I hope
definitely Mexican based on his the family makeup,
Yes.
I mean, you got George Lopez in there as the uncle,
Yo, I did not think I would like George Lopez in that trailer, man.
Same. I was like,
he looks like the crazy Theo who's up to some schemes all the time.
Dude, I'm not a fan of George Lopez. I think he's always very over the top, very dramatic about stuff and exaggerates a lot, which is I get why people would like that comedy. It's very, old school slapsticky kind of stuff, but I liked his character. The very little we saw, in the trailer.
Yeah,
I'm
with like his mullet and his like
yes,
his white socks, and it's
yes,
like, yeah, he looks like the sketchy Theo who's like up to like everything, right?
yeah.
And
But like, speaking of looks, though, Tex, Blue Beetle himself,
dude,
like,
yo,
looks
no,
great,
like,
dude.
I can't believe this was an HBO Max movie before they like moved it to theaters. No wonder WB was like, yo, let's make some money off of this, because it looks incredible.
Yes,
like, that suit, dude. Oh my god,
dude,
like,
it looks way better than I honestly expected it to look.
Yes, exactly.
Being that we know about Blue Beetle, like we're fans of Blue Beetle because of Young Justice and all that stuff.
Yes.
So we're very aware of the character, and like, dude, it's fucking spot on, man. Like,
yeah,
man, like it's wildly spot on, dude.
Yes, you wouldn't think it works in live action, right? But
yeah,
yeah. And then there's one shot of him cutting the bus in half, and you get like that little expression. So it's like, oh, so they're taking like the Deadpool cues of like how to like animate the face without the mouth, So like,
it looks dope. I'm very excited to see the end product of it. Again, I really hope James Gunn does come out as being the head of this whole timeline, pretty much, right? Like, like I as a fan will need confirmation from him at some point that this is part of his his works.
I mean, and I hate to put it out here this way, but I kind of have to, like, as a Latino dude, I'm like, yo, like, confirm this already, like, like,
confirm it and make this shit work, please.
Yes, because that's the thing. It's like, Jaime Reyes, he's a perfect transition to our next character, but like, he's a young hero who you can throw into pretty much everything and have him be the point of like the audience, right? Of like, yo, what's going on here? Oh, Justice League. Oh, all this, like, whatever, right? Like, you can have him react to stuff. And transitioning over, we got the well, I would say fullest trailer for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, who like so now we get the actual story, and it's all the Spider-Man against Miles, because 2099 is up to something. And I'm
all
excited.
for this next.
Yeah, like,
I'm here for it.
Sold, right? Yeah,
and the fact that it's only it's a two-parter, so this is only part one of Spider-Verse, and that's very exciting, because what we finally saw, as Tex mentioned, we saw the story kind of play out, right? Miles goes into this kind of lobby for like the multiverse, pretty much, right?
Yes.
Where all these Spider-Men just hang out, and then him and 2099 obviously are going to have a disagreement about something, because he seems to be the very kind of the head leader kind of thing over here. Right. So and just the way the animation looks is awesome. 2099, it's great how they kind of aside from all the different Spider-Men, that one in particular has this kind of shape to it where it looks like this taller, brooding kind of villain, Dude,
they made him look exactly like Oscar Isaac, which is funny.
Yes, as well.
But also, I bet that Sony's sneaky way of like, if we're gonna get how much you want to bet, right? Because part 3 of this is called Beyond the Spider-Verse, right? How much you want to bet that by the end of this we get a live action Miles? And Sony's sitting here being like, oh, well, we also can have a live action 2099 with Oscar Isaac, have him play double duty in Marvel, right? Like, he could be over here at Moon Knight, but he's over here at Sony's like Spider-Man thing too, right? I'm just like, yo, why not, right?
Listen, like, at this point, we have very little, honestly, of the movie. Like, I think what we see,
there's still something bigger happening.
Yeah, because like, it looks like we're pretty much in the same location the entire trailer. After we leave the
point.
After we leave the parents' conversation, right? We look like we're in this same spot. So I am very excited to see how everything goes down. And like I said, it looks awesome. So I can't wait to see that on the big screen. Yeah, dude, I'm excited about it. The first one won a freaking Oscar. So this one is going to have, some heft behind it. it's been a long time since we got the first one too. Like in comparison, the sequel took a while to come out, man.
Yeah, the first one was such a hit, it like changed animated movies. Like you look at Puss in Boots, you look at
Puss in Boots.
Yeah, like you look at how these movies are designed now, and it's like, yeah, so who knows what the second one's gonna do?
Yeah.
So moving on with Marvel, we got the first trailer for the Disney Plus show Secret Invasion, which it looks dope, but I gotta just put it all out in the open here. I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, I don't care about this yet. So
yeah, I am in the same boat, dude. We're like that. All right, so Marvel, right?
I know
so Marvel started
tough,
their Phase 5 with Ant-Man, right?
Right.
And Quantum Mania and stuff like that, and a bunch of stuff happened in between there.
A bunch of stuff happened that we will. So I'll put this out there as a producer's note for the buddies at home. There is something happened like with Kang, with Jonathan Majors since this went down, since we've last talked, but we will not fully address the scope of it until we either get all the details or
until shit's like officially you know, legit finalized. All right, yes. we're not into speculation here, but
yes,
we are into speculating about movies and the universe and all that stuff. So like I was saying, when we last spoke about Marvel, we spoke about Ant-Man, and we mentioned, you know, we're not going to bring this up again until, you know, we see other stuff. But so there's right now, honestly, there's a big disconnect right now, right? Because this Secret Invasion stuff kind of feels very Phase 4-ish, you know, very non-Phase 5, you know. I'm kind of concerned about that and how it ties into the bigger picture, because I know about the Secret Invasion stuff. It's a whole thing, you know.
Yeah, it was like a big comic event, right?
Yeah, it's a whole thing, because you have, what are they, the Skrulls, right? I keep confusing the Kree and the Skrulls. The Skrulls, they managed to kind of, you know, they shapeshift and stuff. So they managed to shapeshift into Avengers, and the whole thing is like, oh, there's like high level Avengers that are actually, you know, Skrulls and stuff like that. So it's a whole thing, but it doesn't feel very Phase 5 Marvel, right? It feels very like old Marvel, and that's not just because of Nick Fury. It's because of this Skrull stuff that happened with Captain Marvel, right? We first got introduced into that whole thing there, right. And I feel like this story doesn't belong here, you know? It feels kind of dated right now. This is why I feel a little disconnected from this text.
Yeah, it's also because who cares about the Skrulls? I don't.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here also thinking, who cares about Nick Fury? Like, I'm honestly like, I'm good. Like the last time we saw Nick Fury, he was on that ship in space, like handling the Skrulls. And I'm like, cool, bring him up again in the Marvels, right? And like, you know, maybe they'll see him in Captain Marvel 2 or whatever. I don't care, but I will say this straight out. I don't care about Nick Fury. I don't care about the Skrulls.
Yeah.
And so this is all a problem because, you know, digging into this a little bit, Disney announced that they're slowing these down, right? After Quantumania, and then I'm sure they like went back to the drawing board and were like, we're only going to release a few of these a year. So like, we're getting Secret Invasion, but we're also we're probably not getting like Echo this year.
No, we're getting Loki though. Right, we're getting Loki season 2 for sure,
which is also something they really need to figure out before Loki season 2 comes out.
Like
with who cares? I'm still sitting going. Who
as
cares?
You're saying, it's like, you know, where are we here, Marvel? Right? Because as I mentioned, it doesn't feel like we're in the same timeline right now. Like, I think also the Kang stuff is kind of up in the air right now, to be honest with you. So that kind of, dude, it clouds up a lot of things, because he's supposed to be a part of Kang, the character, I mean, not the actor, but the character is supposed to be a part of Loki, a part of all their major plans. Whether they recast or not, depending on what happens with this stuff, is a different story. But back to the invasion stuff, like, does it deal with Kang stuff? Does it deal? with quantum shit, the stuff we actually are currently concerned about, like it doesn't look like it's gonna be doing that stuff, man.
Yeah, like is one of the scrolls a Kang? Is Kang one of the scrolls leading whatever? I think if they did something like that, I would work back around to be like, okay, but I think this is one of those we're putting in the books for now, as in we'll talk about it when the season's done. This won't be one where we're like, oh, let's watch 1 or 2 and then talk about 1 or 2. But no, when the season's done, we will review.
You know what though?
We'll have some words about it.
It's a shame too, Tex, because the Secret Invasion event in comics is like, I don't fully know it. I know about it. Like it's a thing,
Well, yeah, because the whole thing was that like some of the heroes were scrolls. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a major.
The big one
Hulk was one.
Spider-Woman was the big one, if I remember right. Which is
wasn't it Hulk and Hulk and Spider-Woman, right?
Yeah, which sucks for the MCU, because it's like, well, who
we don't even have a Spider-Woman, dude.
Yeah, unless they're like, oh, one of the big heroes has been a scroll this whole time.
But again, you see, like
who cares?
We would care a whole lot more about this if this story came, pre-Endgame kind of shit, Like
if this was like around Black Widow, right? Like
dude, this is the kind of stuff that should have happened before Infinity War. You know what I mean? Like.
Right,
the stuff to fill in everything, to make this universe a little bit more expansive. Yes, it's a grand old universe that we know of, but like, again, I go back to this because the stories don't seem to really connect. Like, are we going to be dealing with all the Marvel stuff? Because we're gonna see Miss Marvel again in the Marvels movie, right? That's coming out this summer, maybe. Right. But this, it's like. Text said, honestly, it's like all this just means, I kind of don't care about it either. And
I think we're both dancing around it, but ultimately, I think I
hope it's not 8 episodes.
Like this definitely seems like a 6, right? Like looking at it, like, nah, that's a 6 episode kind of.
I want
a
4 episode miniseries, bro. Just give me 4-hour episodes and just make your point, dude.
Yeah, that's so true. Just make the movie. Like that's the thing. It's like you can make these movies and just drop them on Disney Plus. I don't see why. I guess we're getting into the weeds here a bit. So let's move on with Disney, because Disney has a bunch of plans.
We got a lot of Disney talk coming.
We got a whole other universe, a whole other universe to jump into here in a second. But first, so Star Wars Celebration, the big Star Wars event, happened this past week from the time of recording. Mm-hmm. And one of the first things that came out was that new trailer for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Mm-hmm. So before, you and I, like, we talked about this. I'm not a big Indiana Jones guy. You aren't either.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen like 2 and 3, and I barely remember 1. So like, I'm gonna have to watch these before this next one.
Yeah,
so,
3. I don't remember any of 3. 1 and 2 really are the ones. 1 obviously being Raiders of the Lost Ark. And 2 being Temple of Doom. Those 2 really are the ones, especially at Temple of Doom. You have like all those cool visuals and stuff. When they're like in the like in the temple, and they're in that dinner where they're eating like all these different kinds of foods, monkey brains and snake and stuff. Always something ingrained into my memory. But really, like it's pretty much it about Indiana Jones. Temple of Doom and Kalima.
Yeah, and when we got the first trailer for Dial of Destiny, you and I were both like, "Oh man, like Harrison Ford's being old." And
like I didn't give a Crystal Skull a chance. I wasn't going to give this one a chance, but Tex,
but yes,
the trailer, this final trailer came out, and they were holding out on us, man.
They really were.
This looks very watchable.
Yeah,
the story actually intrigues me, because you finally find out that it's not him trying to go on another adventure on his own. Is that his goddaughter, who was I guess he was friends, like a very good friends with her father. They found this they know about this Dial of Destiny thing, and in the trailer we see that she betrays him, which is very like very Indiana Jones-esque from back in the day. And we see that Mads Mikkelsen is there trying to like resurrect, trying to turn back time to correct Hitler's mistakes
again, right?
Yeah,
it's Nazis again, which
works.
Is like
Listen,
a good move, right? Like,
it works.
Like,
let's point the finger back at them. It's always easy to make some Nazi kind of villain. And this one, Mads Mikkelsen fits.
Wrong with it. Yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with
Nothing
that.
wrong with
And
that.
like,
Fuck them.
no, yeah, fuck the Nazis, bro.
But yeah,
And
but
so
it looks good, Tex.
yes, that's what I was gonna say. And like, I think you're in the same boat too, where I'm a sucker for old men having one last adventure kind of movie, and like if they I know there were reports, we talked about this last time, where they had to take those lines out that referenced Indiana Jones and his age.
Yeah.
But like I'm getting that vibe in this trailer where he's an old man, he's retiring. He even says he's like, yo, I'm
Yeah.
retiring.
He knows he's old.
Yeah, but then he's dragged out for one more. And dude, like I'm a sucker. I'm like, yo, I love those movies.
Yeah.
Like old men going for
one last ride,
Yeah,
it's like
Rocky
Unforgiven to
Balboa.
Jace over here,
Yeah,
But yeah, dude, this one, like, I like the way this trailer really flowed, and the way it showed the story. And I'm like, oh, I can really, see myself enjoying this movie,
It looks like a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the de-aging thing, it's only because of flashbacks, I thought
Yes,
they
thank
were
God.
going to do something where that would be a major thing, but it just seems like, yeah, they de-aged them because it's fucking flashbacks. Like they're going back to the Raiders of the Lost Ark stuff. Which obviously, he was young Indy.
Yeah, and it does make sense that they didn't just recast another Indiana Jones actor, because it is like, so I don't know, like I guess we'll see how that plays out in the movie. So I am curious about that. So
you know what though, Tex, too, like I am curious too, because last time we heard Harrison Ford being on a shoot where there was action, he kind of broke his leg. Remember when he came back as Han Solo for for what was it, episode 7, right?
Yeah, but maybe he likes Indiana Jones. That's what I'm hoping. Like, I'm hoping that he likes that character enough to be like, let's do it.
It's a Lucas character, so Lucas wanted him specifically. So
we'll see how that plays out. So moving on with the actual Star Wars stuff. Before we get into the new announcements, we got the first trailer.
Ahsoka.
Yeah, for Ahsoka, which is a new series coming to Disney Plus, branching out from Rosario Dawson's take on the character. I know zero about this, Arturo. I'm leaving. Should fans be excited about this? As the Star Wars expert,
fans should be excited about it, because Ahsoka and her portrayal by Rosario Dawson was one of the highlights of Mando season 2, as a fanboy of Star Wars, and as a fan of Star Wars, anyone who actually respects like the Star Wars canon, and they know of Ahsoka, and they know how important she is to the whole story of Anakin and all that stuff, and her ties to to human Anakin, to the Anakin before he goes all Sith. So there is a big relationship there, and this is why Ahsoka is so important in the grand scheme of things. We saw her portrayal in Mando season 2 come to life as like this outcasted kind of Jedi person-esque, not Jedi because she's not a Jedi, just kind of walking the earth trying to, solve stuff. So
I, even as someone who doesn't know Star Wars, I do know about this Thrawn guy, because you've mentioned Thrawn, and he's apparently going to be in the Ahsoka show,
which is super, super surprising, because Thrawn was a huge part of the actual book canon of Star Wars. Huge. I mean, huge. He was a huge baddie in that like in the canon universe there in the books, and him being here now in live action in this universe is very exciting, because it opens up the question to, hey, did you guys finally realize you have other stories that already exist here, and you can just bring them to life? You don't have to create something new, because there's nothing like, you can create new characters, but there's already a slew of information and a wealth of characters and situations that already exist. Thrawn is one of them, So having him actually appear is pretty major, because that means they're open to the books, and the books is where we get a lot of information about what happened after episode 6, Luke and the Jedi Academy, and what really happens between Jaina and Jason Solo, which is the story they adapted for Ben Solo in in the new trilogy they just made, where Ben was the son well, in the book, Jason Solo was the son of Leia and Han. He turned Sith and all that stuff. Like that story comes from there. So unfortunately, they didn't successfully pull that off. But it's exciting because now they're kind of admitting, hey, like, we're dumb to say the books are not canon, which is like,
okay,
so dumb, because it's like, why would you just
why would you throw it out? Why would you throw out years
because
of material,
the books
right?
fill out so much of the universe. The movies only focus on the Skywalkers, right? The books fill out everybody else. Do you know what I mean? Like you get the sense of the Star Wars universe and galaxy really through the books, through all the characters you meet in the books. Like there's a great story of Boba Fett and his daughter, and it's like, it's great. It's good stuff there. So I'm very excited that they brought out Thrawn here, because that's really the most important key part of this Ahsoka trailer is Thrawn and what they plan on doing with him. That being said,
speaking of the future,
right? That being said, Tex, and speaking of the future, and a good transition into the books and the canon, right? As I was saying, after Return of the Jedi, we see Luke try and build the Jedi Academy all over again, right? And it seems like what's going to happen in one of these 3 new Star Wars flicks, right? Where they bring back Rey Skywalker to build a new Jedi Academy, which is like, what?
Yeah. So
where did this come from?
as part of the new announcements, they I don't know the details of the timeline, because I'm bad at producing, getting my knowledge here. But no. But seriously, they revealed like an expanded timeline with because there's New Republic, there's High Republic, there's Old Republic. There's Dawn of the Jedi. There is Episode 10 and Beyond, which is like Beyond High Republic or something like that. So let's detail these movies. They announced three big movies in the works.
Let's go with timeline then. Yes. So James Mangold will be dealing with the older part of the timeline.
Yes, it's going all the way back to the actual Dawn of the Jedi,
which is super interesting, honestly.
Yeah, it's being teased as a biblical kind of epic, which is
it's
roll my eyes a little bit, but
me too, because it's like that's all Star Wars, you know what I mean?
They're all
but it's true, man. It's exciting because it's James Mangold. I like James Mangold. He's done very good things. He did Logan.
I mean, he did Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, actually. So
that's why he was there. Like, even worse, he did a great remake of 3:10 to Yuma as well, which was awesome.
Yeah, he's also writing James Gunn's Swamp Thing. So
James Mangold, people.
Yeah,
James Mangold, right? So James Mangold will be dealing with the older part of that timeline you just mentioned, Tex, which is the Dawn of the Jedi, which is the birth of the Jedi and probably like the first Jedi. So that's probably why they describe it as like a biblical epic kind of thing, because it's gonna be like that Moses, because if you go back into Star Wars and stuff, Jedi and is Jedi and Sith are a very like religious thing. Lucas says it, light and dark, good and bad kind of shit. God and devil and all that bullshit. But I'm very curious what this is going to be, because this is the first time a movie is actually going to be, set that far back in the Star Wars universe. You know what I mean?
Right. Or Origins of the Force kind of thing. So, unless it's midichlorians, a guy, it's a movie about a guy figuring out he's got midichlorians. So the second of these projects was announced that Dave Filoni, he's leading up, after telling all these TV shows, Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, they're gonna all lead into a movie of some kind.
Exactly. So he's dealing with the New Republic aspect.
It makes a lot of sense to me. Also, it's like, I don't know. It's like I think
it's gonna be big fan service kind of shit, honestly, because he's the one that's been providing that for the fans. Like I just full disclosure, I haven't watched an episode of Mandalorian season 3, and I still consider myself a huge Star Wars fan. Like I love Star Wars, but like I'll catch it when I catch it. I think Filoni has been doing right by the Star Wars fans and stuff like that. So good. I'm glad he's able to actually expand his stories now into this whole movie that's gonna bridge all these shows. As Tex just mentioned.
good luck to him. It's a lot.
And it's going to be dealing with the New Republic era of the timeline as well. But it does make sense because like these characters obviously fit in the same universe. You know, they've been in their shows together. So you had Ahsoka in Mando, you had Boba Fett in Mando, Mando and Boba Fett, all that good stuff.
You know, that's the thing though. It's, you know, when you have all these shows, you bring them together for a movie, who's the star? You know, is it going to be Pedro Pascal's Mando? It kind of has to be, right?
It doesn't really have to be. I haven't seen any of this season, but I think as a Star Wars fan, the best way to do it is to use these people as supporting characters to elevate a new character. That's honestly the way you would build a Star Wars movie. You know,
that is Star Wars. Yeah, because if not, it's just like an event program. It's an event movie, and like, it's earned it because it's Star Wars. But at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's like, why didn't you just do an event series? You know, why couldn't you just combine
that same timeline is the Obi-Wan timeline, right?
Yes.
Like it fits in that same
Obi-Wan happened in the same era.
It happened in that same kind of decade of time that they want to kind of focus on. So it could be, it would be cool to see all that kind of elevate the story of Princess Leia and how she actually finally came up, or something along those lines. I don't think you'll be just focusing on one of those characters. I think it'll be more of along the lines of, let's grab all these awesome supporting roles and elevate
and tell like one big part of the story.
And then at the end they all come back for like a big fight together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
very
cool.
Star Warsy, right?
So the final movie announced was Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, who will be directing a movie set after Rise of Skywalker, who's bringing back Daisy Ridley's Rey. So, who is building her own Jedi Order, as you mentioned, who's building her own Jedi Academy and trying to like build that stuff back up.
Yeah. So
that's going to be the first of the next era of like whatever this episode 10.
What are your thoughts on that, Tex? As a layperson on the whole Star Wars thing.
As someone who's just like, to me, it seems like seems like kind of a bust, but also like jumping on your idea of like using it to build up someone else. I do like that, because they threw out the book canon. So, Rey Skywalker, she's a Skywalker, she's a Palpatine, and if they somehow bring back
that still hurts Driver, my head how that all turned out.
If they still like, that's what I'm saying. I think it's a bust. Like it's straight up like a, try to make what you can out of like the pieces you have left.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is something there in that idea. Like if it's not an episode 10, but instead like an episode 1 of like a new story of like, oh, here's not a Skywalker, but like a new generation Jedi kind of person, right? Like a new character, like maybe bring back Adam Driver's Ben as like a Force ghost or something. And
no, I'm good off that.
But also no, right?
They had their chance to do that, and they didn't pull a trigger on that story. And I don't want any more of that.
That's where I'm sitting with it. As someone who's like not really that connected with this stuff, like it. To me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to try and like pick up those pieces instead of like doing something fresh. But if what you're saying is on the money of like using that as the base to start something new, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Just to wrap up this conversation, I don't want to get too nerdy into it.
Yeah. Because we still got
we still got our feature presentation, double feature presentation. But
we got.
So just in terms of Rey, I'm very mixed on her character. Very mixed on her. I still don't know how to feel about it because all those that trilogy was everywhere. But if they are going to bring her back, now is the time to pump up that legacy behind it. What did she do afterwards, right? What stuff did she do afterwards to kind of like make her fucking Luke Skywalker? Because essentially this is a story, again, a rehash of the Luke Skywalker story after Return of the Jedi, right? Where he goes off in the books and he fucking finds the whole Jedi temple and starts the Jedi Academy and does all that stuff. So this is essentially that story. And if they are going to do that, I would really recommend them to kind of amp up and just beef up her resume a little bit. Like showing not showing exactly, but telling us what she did after that stuff, after she decided to take off.
like as a full Jedi master.
Yeah,
kind of
because
thing, right?
again, if you're gonna bring her back, you're gonna have to like acknowledge the fact that she called herself a Skywalker now, right? So that holds a lot of weight, right? What did she do after she took up the mantle of Skywalker? That's what you're gonna have to kind of show and prove that, you know, you brought this character back for a reason. Like, what makes her, well, like, who the hell are you? You know, who do you think you are trying to build up the Jedi Academy again, right? What have you done, really? You know, because what we got from Rey was a really mixed bag. You know, we ended obviously on like a strong note because she got all this power and all that stuff and Jedi stuff, but it was really, honestly, even just looking back at it, still
like character wise, right? Like, it was still murky.
Yeah, dude, like you didn't know where she stood with her powers, you know, like you understood that she had some powers in her, but you didn't really get that montage to see how she got to where she got to, you know what I mean? So I think this is a good chance for them to kind of on the back end beef up that resume, show how badass she really is as a character, and give her some respect, because that's what, you know, she deserves if you're going to bring her back.
That's very true.
That being said, folks, we'll have a lot more of this stuff for you guys as we get more news.
When we get details.
Yeah, when we get a whole lot of details. But now, folks, our feature presentation. So, Tex, we got a deuce for them today. We've been talking a lot with you guys already as it is. We have a double feature for you guys. And first up on this double feature, surprise, the movie that I didn't think I was going to freaking watch this year is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Yeah, I don't have much on this one, Tex. But I honestly enjoyed my time in the theater. I thought it was fun. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I actually did. But I wouldn't pay for it. I'd wait for it if I had to.
Look, you know, I do have to say this every time that, you know, we cover a Paramount movie. You know, I do, my day job is for Paramount, you know, full disclosure, you know, but at the same, this is my personal opinion, but also, wait for it to hit Paramount Plus, you know, wait for it to, like, you know, enjoy it at home, because it's straight up like I bet, like, at this point, we're talking about it now, you know, we took the spring break off. I bet it's really getting overshadowed by the other movie we're going to be talking about today. So like, if you have the time and money to check out one of these one of these gaming movies, it's not this one. You know,
no, it's not.
Yeah, and you know, we don't even need to dig into spoilers with this one, because it's like, you know, it's also not really something you can spoil.
No, like there are no real spoilers in terms of like.
Maybe like the double turn, maybe like the heel turn or whatever. But so you know, what I will say is that I appreciate that it's like a fantasy movie through and through, right? Like, it's a fantasy story. It's genuine. There's no like undercutting it with like pop culture jokes, or like there's no meta going, oh, I can't believe it works like this, you know. But there is a knock at like one of the spells or something. They're like, oh, that's like when they're talking with the skeletons, and they're like, why only 5 questions? That seems like a wild number, like an arbitrary number. But that's still within the universe, right? Like, it never once, like, it's a straight up fantasy story, and it treats itself seriously. You know, it has the fun and stuff, but it's never like poking fun at Dungeons and Dragons. So I bet if you're like a big D&D fan, you're probably like really enjoying it, because it's not making fun of it. Like, it's never once going, oh, D&D's dumb, or like, you know,
it's not like it's Stranger Things, right? Where it's kind of using it to explain stuff to little kids, you know?
Right.
This is legit the D&D world, so there is no Dungeons and Dragons. This is the world, right? And
but what is great though is that there is a dungeon and a dragon. Yeah. So like, if you're
there are many dungeons and a dragon for sure. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, it does come through in that regard. Like, I think, like, we don't even need, like I've said, we don't even need to go into spoilery details, because it's like set piece and set piece and set piece. And like, I think there might be one too many side quests for my taste of like, you know, we need to get to point A to point B in order to get to, you know, order to get to that thing, in order to do that thing. Yeah. It might be one extra one for me in my case, but like, I think in like the second half of the movie, it really kicks up. Like once they actually get the team together and once they start their full adventure as like a party, then like, you know, once it gets to the Dungeon and Dragon, right? Like it starts kicking up. And like I think like I like the dragon, you know, the dragon we get in this movie is super neat.
The dragon set piece was awesome. You know, the fat dragon just sliding everywhere.
Yeah, it was just like a super like fat dragon.
Yeah, it was a fat dragon. That's what it was.
Yeah, that it felt unique. I don't think we've seen that in like a fantasy movie. You know?
Yeah, you know what though? Like to your argument there about you know, the set pieces. I think you know, it's a game, right? I think that's what the game has to do or something. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm pretty sure there's a shitload of side quests you got to do.
Yeah, it's fantasy world stuff. There's always this, like you need to get this crest in order to open the door.
Yeah, to, like, it's like you know, like it's like Jumanji, like in the 90s, right? Where like you know, to get shit done, you had to get other shit done. You know, it's successful in that, right? You know, that it does work, you know, for the, you know, the source material. But it is a wait for it still for me.
It's a long movie.
Like the visuals are neat, but it's nothing really to go crazy about in theaters either. I really like the cube thing that's there, you know. They finally put
that,
you know,
that like slime cube, right? Yeah.
Cube that you see everywhere. You remember in a freaking, what was it, in Futurama, they had a gelatinous cube as well. Yeah, so that's apparently like all these creatures are part of the board game. So I think it does proper fan service to it. It is a better movie than I anticipated it to be. I thought it was going to be absolute garbo because, you know, it's Chris Pine and stuff. He hasn't done anything good in a long time, but this movie seems to work with his you know, his persona, his, you know, his way of, you know, of line delivery, just like it worked in Star Trek when he was Captain Kirk, right? So, you know, he's getting some shine here. Michelle Rodriguez does her thing, you know.
She's solid. She's very solid in this.
Like, yeah, she's good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you know, spoiler for that too. I'm gonna drop a little spoiler alert here because I do want to call attention to it. She dies again. Like,
she dies a lot in movies.
She does a lot, and also
and comes back
to life.
Yeah, she did it in Resident Evil, right? She does it in Fast and Furious.
Yeah, and so it happens here, but thankfully they get it done in the same movie. She dies, they bring her back.
Yeah, like in that little whole thing at the end, the ending of the whole thing. Since we're talking about spoilers, I really liked it. I thought it was cute. You know, I thought it was a good way to kind of give that happy ending and that character development actually following through, right? That it's like, hey, it's not about her mom. She never knew her mom, you know, it's about, you know, us here, our current family here. So that was a really cool, you know, part of the story, especially the ending part there, that Pine was like, you know what, like, this is what I got to do. I'm like, oh, that's good ending there. Good ending to finish everything happy.
Speaking of family, you know, Chris Pine's daughter is that same one who just popped up in 65.
She was good too.
We were like, oh, we got to keep an eye on her. Yeah, she was good here too. So we're like, well, okay,
throw in a horror reboot. Let's see what she got. You know, because she's, you know, she's building a good resume for herself, man. And every time we see her, it's, you know, she's solid on screen. Like she knows exactly what to do, and she's been like doing stuff for the last several years. So because she was with Batista, right, in that movie,
in that My Spy movie,
way
back when.
So, you know, good for her, man. But again, throw her in like you know, a horror movie and see what she got.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's put her to the real test, right? But you know, so. You know, and with Dungeons and Dragons too, it's like, you know, it's definitely like a watch at home, watch it on a Sunday afternoon, you know, stream it, watch it on your couch.
It totally feels like a Sunday sci-fi movie, dude.
Yeah, like
1000%.
Yeah, like because that's the thing, it looks good, but it's also not like, like you said, it's not something we walked out of it going, oh man, it was such a good looking movie, right?
If you happen to watch it on a Sunday and you pass out in the middle of the movie and you wake up, you probably won't be missing much, you know? You'll be like, okay, you can continue watching it. You know,
you'll wake, like, if you're lucky, you'll wake up when they're in the dragon dungeon, and you're like, and then from there, you're like, you got the rest of the movie, final fights and stuff like that from then on, like, because that's the thing too. I do give it credit because, like, in terms of like the fantasy action itself is dope. Like there's one scene in particular where like they're playing with portals, and like the heist, like they like put a portal on a mirror and then like use that portal to like sneak it into like an art cart or something.
Yeah, like, dude, it's very fantasy Ocean's 11 kind of shit, right?
It's like a portal too, so they're like having to hang on and like do it like very sneaky and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, man. Like that stuff's unique, and like the way they shoot it is unique. Like the fight scenes are usually good in this. Like, that's what I mean. Like that stuff's all dope, right? Like it's all like good fantasy action, but it's also like it's a long movie, man.
It's long, bro. It's long. And then like I got a little bored in the middle there before the action really picked up.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a little while for it to get going. Like Tech said, it actually picks up once, you know, you start getting into like the actual board game action stuff, you know, the board game action pieces. But that being said, folks, I think it's a total wait for it. I think Tex also agrees.
Yeah,
it's a total way for
stamp on it. Yeah.
But next up, folks, in our double feature is a total pay for it, in my opinion, is the Super Mario Brothers movie, man.
Yeah, spoiler alert, pay for it. Like,
pay for it. Pay for it if you can. Try and pay for it for IMAX. I know it's a little bit more expensive. Try and go for the 3D or the IMAX. It is absolutely worth it, man.
Yeah, I'm sure it's expensive because, you know, with kids and like all that stuff. Or,
trust me.
Like,
I took the whole family for IMAX. Yes. I'm glad my ticket was free with the AMC A-list thing. Their shit wasn't free though.
Yeah, like, but at the same time though, it's like when you actually get into it, man, it's like it's just a solid watch. Like it's a solid like, yeah, it's gonna, watch it at home, of course. Like that's the thing. If you have to wait for it, circumstances, all that stuff, watch it as soon as it's available. Like if you got to pay to rent it, like pay to rent it.
You know what, though? Text, chances are a lot of people already saw it because it's made tons of money, dude.
It's like the biggest animated opening in the world.
Dude, tons of money. So
it's gonna clear $1 billion, man. It's gonna clear
man.
trillion.
It's a total way for it. And just seeing the look on my son's face, like when he was watching all these crazy action sequences, he loved it because it's like the video game. He was happy. My daughter was happy. She enjoyed the movie. She enjoyed all the cute little characters and everything too. Like they came to life. It's a total it's a family movie, man. Like we're old enough where we've played Super Mario Brothers and we are well versed in this universe because just growing up and just playing this game. And I think they do a very awesome job of, making sure every age range is taken care of in this movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. Like I went and saw this by myself. So we are like completely opposite ends of the demographic here, right? Like you went and saw but also I'm also like a huge Nintendo head. So like maybe
you are. As you can see right behind you, right? Right behind you. Right behind Tex, we have a whole wall of Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, if you're watching the video, you can see how big of a Nintendo fan I am. But at the same time, like even recognizing my biases, right? I'm like, is this still a solid movie? Because I could easily toss all that aside and be like, yeah, if it was a whack movie, I wasn't having a good time. But like, it's not like funny or like, laugh out loud or anything like that. But it's just a solid family movie.
Yeah, dude, it gets the job done, right? In all facets of it. Like, honestly, like you said, it's not meant for its, subvertive like adult jokes, it's not like it's not too infantile either,
there are no fart jokes there. It's illumination.
There's no potty humor like that,
not a single fart joke in this movie.
Because the minions do enough of that stuff in their in their movie, but like it's just a very accurate representation of this universe, right? Of this video game that we all love. And it's just so awesome seeing that faithfully brought to the screen. Like they took so much care in every little detail you see, dude. It's
like
ridiculous
even
how good it looks.
Like, if you haven't seen it yet, you've been maybe waiting till, family, you gotta wait till the family's all, you can go see with the family or whatever.
Yeah, I dragged them on Thursday night. I'm like, no, we're watching it on Thursday night. I don't have any other time.
Yeah, it might be tough for everybody to get their family out, but like, you might be seeing the reviews who like straight up say like 50, like 60, it's a bad movie.
Like, what are you watching?
Yeah, Arturo and I have gone against the grain a lot of the times, but with those, when it's like Black Adam, Shazam, we can be like, okay, we can see where they're coming from, right? But here, I'm like, what were you looking for? It's the Mario movie, right? Like,
yeah,
what did you expect out of the Mario movie? We got Mario. It's like, the story, there's barely any story in it, but
there's enough, but though, Tex, like yes, the story is, as you mentioned, barely any story, but there is enough story there for a little kid to follow, dude.
Yeah.
Like let's not forget the target audience here. It's not like, the 18 to 45 year olds, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
They have a huge target audience, and that's with the kids. This is the people who are paying. Yes, we have this income that we pay, that we use to buy our video games and all this stuff. But let's not forget about this disposable income that every IP wants. Marvel, Disney, all that stuff. They all want that disposable income. And that's what Nintendo just got, dude. All those little kids who played with their Switches and, who play with the Pokemon cards. They have the Pokemon games as well. All those little kids, dude. Like, that's the target audience. And my son was able to follow that movie. He's 8. Like, good. I'm glad the story was simple enough that he was able to, know Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. He wasn't lost. I don't know what they wanted to see from this story. I didn't need an overly complex story because the world alone is overly complex. It's a Mario game. You know what I mean?
It's also Mario. Like, in Mario, you spend like 30 seconds in a level and then you're in the next one, right? And yeah, like, I can see the argument that like maybe it goes through set pieces too quickly, but like watching it play out, I'm like, part of me is like, I wish some of these things could have been longer. And that's a good criticism to have, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I wish we got to spend more time with Luigi. I wish we got more of the Mario and Donkey Kong dynamic, and like, I wish we got more of the Mario Brothers. But like, that's something we can get in a sequel, like, which is definitely happening now. After all that money, there's no way.
They already started making it yesterday.
Yeah, so. we got the Nintendo. Like, as soon as that Nintendo logo hit for like, and it's like the special movie one they did. I'm like, we got a Nintendo universe coming. Like,
it's happening,
stone,
folks.
Man. Yeah,
it really is happening. And like I mentioned to Tex off air, like because yes, I do agree. I wish that they had more of that brother dynamic because they were awesome together on screen. But we also have to remember that this whole universe is about Mario. Like he's the OG. Like we can't forget that. And they needed to kind of be able to pass that through, right? To kind of push that agenda of, hey, this is Mario. Like, how do we make this little plumber dude a legend? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what the whole movie was about.
And
right?
that's what the whole movie is about. Like,
it's like it was a Mario origin story.
Dude, it was, dude. Like, they were like, listen, they did a great job of explaining the height thing, right? Of explaining the outfits. It was just like, hey, it's outfits so we can look different in terms of all the plumbing stuff. That's cool. That's great character stuff that like makes it easy for us to live in this universe. It's like, oh, we get it. You're just small. You're just a tiny guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is great that they kept pointing that out.
Yes, I love it.
Really is like
he's just a short dude, bro. He's just a short dude, and the overalls is their gimmick. That's their plumbing gimmick. Like, that's their thing to try and stand out in this business world.
It is dope that that they are from Brooklyn. Like,
yes.
Because if this is a Mario head thing, but if you ever saw that Super Mario Brothers show, with Captain Lou, and they were in Brooklyn, like they were based in Brooklyn, New York. So that was a cool.
The
Super
song
Mario show.
they used was
for
the commercial.
Yes.
I was flipping out. I was like, oh my God, that's from the show. That's from the show. And then my kids looked at me all weird. I'm like, you see, I made you watch that show. But yeah, I loved how they the smart use of that music, and they used it for that commercial only. You know, it wasn't like
a
big thing. But then what I also really loved are all the little musical cues. You know, it was so good. Like when Bowser and the little magician dude, I forget his name, when they were like just talking, and then Bowser started playing hit, you know, like it was just like that's smart. Like you just throw it in there, so smart, you know. And I really enjoyed this movie, man. Just talking about it now, I really realized how well everything was laid out, even for like an adult like us, who as you know, as these amateur critics out, we're looking for stuff to pick on, and we're looking to critique thoroughly. And this thing actually, like, it did a great job of just being hey, like, this is the world we operate in. This is how it works. You know?
It's just a well-made cartoon. And that's the thing. It's like, I can get being harsh on it because it's like an animated movie, but I also don't get like being that harsh, you know, because it's like, if you pay attention, it's so well made. And like, you know, speaking of musical cues, like you can hear various level musics and power-ups, like it just hidden in the score. Like it's not overpowering. You don't hear the Mario Brothers theme the whole time. It's like you hear it in very little moments, right? Like for example, when they're going into the pipes for the first time,
that was cool.
You can hear the little like you hear the little, just a little bit. Like they don't go too ham on it, and like it's stuff like that. And then there are tons of like Mario Easter eggs, and that was used as like a criticism that like, oh, you know, it relies on Easter eggs. And no,
but that's part of the universe, man.
That's the whole point. It's Mario. Like, it's like Mario can't just, you know, you have
what was something specific that they said about the Easter eggs? Which one?
That like so in particular, I want to say the like the level 1-1, where you know, when they're running in the beginning and they're like going over the things, and like you see the flag, and then you see the castle pizza instead of like castle, like it's stuff like that. It's stuff like the Mario Kart stage, the fact that Mario Kart was incorporated in the movie at all. But then, you know, that's my thinking. I'm like, as a Mario head, right, as a Nintendo head, I'm like, seeing that was dope. Seeing it done so well was dope.
Yeah.
And I kind of want like Mario Party. I want to see him play the sports next. You know, like I want some Mario Tennis in the next movie.
But then like the Mario Kart thing works because like the Donkey Kong Land, right? The Kong Island, it's all like they all freaking traveled with carts. You know?
Yeah, that first intro scene, like
nice.
when they're driving through, and it's like the cart, and that's the thing too. So one thing I do want to mention is that like the action's great, like cartoon action. Like Illumination as a studio does not get enough credit for how they handle action.
No,
like,
they've been killing us since the first Despicable Me, dude.
Yeah, like it's you know, because they take their angular designs and they move them with like the 2D cartoon aesthetic of like very sharp, very this, and it works with Mario. Like by the time we get to like the final battle, and it's like full on Smash Bros, dude. I'm like, yo, this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's before we get to that final set piece, so there's like so much like that we can just talk about, man. Like that whole, when he gets to the the Toad Kingdom, right, and he has to pass that trial, you know, and he just spends like time, like that's the little montage we need for him to kind of get accustomed to how everything works, you know. I think that was super smart, having him kind of just go all night trying to get it right, and then right at the end when we think he's going to complete it, he just gets eaten. I thought that was was smart, because it's like, hey, let's show you guys what we can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's also cool because it's also part of his character. You know, they made sure to make that part of Mario's character, is the fact that he's a little guy who doesn't give up, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And it makes sense for the games, and also like I love when kids' movies are allowed to say things like death and I'm going to kill you and you're going to die and stuff like that. Like, I love having stakes, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because death is a huge part of the Mario series. So the fact that, like, straight up, like, you know, that Mario dies.
But it's true though, like, right, Tex? Like, it's a great point. As a kid and you're playing it, it's like, oh man, I died, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I died. Oh, I came back to life. I died again. Oh, like, you died, buddy. You died. You died. He died.
So,
like, it's great.
So even if it's PG or whatever, like, they're allowed to say things like death, you know, because in some kids movies you don't, you know, unless you get like a cool kid adventure, you don't get like death. You say like, it's the Power Rangers thing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna destroy you, or I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get those kids.
Get them.
Yeah, and it's stuff like that. So like, this is Mario bias showing or whatever, but I'm like, I had a great time, and like, I saw it in 2D. And just an aside, pulling behind the curtain, I like texted Arturo right after. I'm like, yo, how are you seeing this? Are you seeing it in 3D? And then you were like, yeah, IMAX. I'm like, okay, cool. See it that way. Like, see if you can. That's the thing too. Pay for it, and if you can pay for the full production 3D IMAX, do it. Because like, this movie looks incredible. It is just like, Mario bias or not, like, it's just a good looking movie.
Yeah, agreed. And another big factor of this movie being so good was Bowser himself, right? Our main man, our main villain, Mr. Jack Black, does a fantic job of voice acting. This dude,
standout performance of the movie. Like,
and even though he has, definitely like an effect to his voice to make it more, monster like.
They added like the reverb or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
The minute he starts singing Peaches, like, forget about it. You know it's Jack Black, dude. Hands
it's
down.
In my head. It's in my head.
So good. It's so good. And like, that's when you have an awesome kids movie where they have a song that stands out like that. Disney always has their, Let It Go and How Far I'll Go from Moana and stuff like that. But this one has Peaches, and it's so good that there's a music video about it now with Jack Black in it.
Yeah,
what is it like?
Whole time, dude.
There's a mid-credit scene, right, where like little Bowser is playing inside. He's playing the Peaches song. Right, like, it's so good. The song gets played 3 times throughout the movie,
and deservingly. That's the thing. It's like, it's in my head still. Like, I'm still singing Peaches to myself. I'm like, Peaches, 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 Peaches.
Yeah, it's very good. And again, another successful part of playing to their target audience, man. Like again, if you got the kids, bro, chances are you'll get the adults too.
I mean, like, putting my final cap on Super Mario Brothers movie, like, I don't know. This is the one where I'm like, what do critics even like? Yeah, sometimes it's like when you say, oh, critics are wrong. Oh, yeah. And that's not exactly the right viewpoint either, right? Like, sometimes the critics do know what they're talking about, right? But here, I'm just like, what movie were you watching?
Yeah. It was the exact same argument I had when they, reviewed, Scream 6 and X.
Scream 6, Skinamarink. How many examples do we have here of just our show?
We get killed over here online because it's like, hey, we said Scream sucked. But then, like, you have these reviews saying that, no, this is the greatest thing ever. But then you have this thing, which is like completely like destroying an animated movie meant for kids. Right. Yeah. And there's no justification in their review. Like, they are always saying, like, their big thing is the story thing. Like we mentioned, the story
is our thing too, which is understandable.
Which I get. But like, what story is it that you are criticizing here? Because have you played Mario? There's not much story there. Peaches gets freaking kidnapped, right, by Bowser. You got to go save her. End of story. You know what I mean? That's it.
It's not like turn off your brain shit either. Because when people say that, it's like, oh, just turn off your brain and enjoy it. No, like, that's not the case here either. It's not like,
it's not. No. Like,
there's a lot going. Here at the morgue, stimulants.
Here at the morgue, we first and foremost respect story, right? And this story was a simple linear story that was easy to follow enough where you can add all these layers of the universe, right? Because why make an overly complicated story when, like I said before, the universe itself is overly complicated? It's a fucking video game, You know what I mean?
And it's
So
Mario.
dude,
Yeah.
we have all these different rules and characters and settings and power-ups and little features that belong in this universe that need more explanation than the story does. You know what I mean? It's like the story so but I see text, I don't understand what they're saying, because you have a story there, right? You know, Peaches has to try and save Toad Kingdom. At the same time, Luigi gets freaking taken by Bowser and company, so he has to save them. So they got to go meet up with freaking Donkey Kong Island, try and make friends so they can get their army. They can come back, and the army gets freaking ambushed. Right? Like what exactly are you looking for? That's a pretty decent story for something that like they just, you know, like that isn't really there in the video games, you know?
Yeah, and then like I don't see how you can give it a 50 or like a give it a rotten score when
that's
like
ridiculous.
When you look at the animation alone. So like that's the thing too, because even if it had a poor story, you see the quality of everything else.
Yeah.
Like you see even Chris Pratt, who like you and I both going in, we're like,
we were killing him, dude. We were killing him.
Like, this is gonna be, and yeah, I will admit he never really settles on a Mario voice.
He doesn't, but you can tell they definitely worked on it though, because it wasn't that straight up American accent we got in the trailer when we first saw it.
Right, but it wasn't full Mario either, you know. And but it is funny. The only times he says "Mamma Mia" is when they slow it down.
Yeah, Mamma Mia.
And that's what there's little smart stuff like that to like cover it up, you know.
But also like it's also smart because how really, you know, stereotypical Italian do you want to make him? His parents, his family was already like that, right? And then they also threw in the first iteration of Mario in there, right? That was playing in the arcade. That was very Italian, right?
Yeah. Which is the Mario dude himself, like Charles Martinet, which is dope. Yeah, so he even got to do his little wahoo and all that stuff.
You see, there you go. Like they had that enough where I felt okay in the movie with Chris Pratt's voice at the end of it, because like it could have been way worse, honestly. But I do like the fact that he did try to like do something different with his voice, and you can hear it too.
We will give credit where it's due. He did try.
He did. Yeah, there was a semblance of him trying to change it, because like I said before, in that original trailer, it was just straight up Chris Pratt. It was Star-Lord fucking talking pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a minute, this is not right. But then I think they went back and they were like, let's see what we can do here. And you can tell
with a different take, right?
Yeah.
They went with like
which again, it wasn't that distracting. I'm like, okay, cool. I dig it. I like Charlie Day's acting as Luigi. That works perfectly.
Dude,
for that character.
I want a Luigi movie, like
Luigi's Mansion, right?
Yeah, because him in like in the Darklands scene with like all the dry bones. I'm like, yo, it just looked good.
That was nice.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like, just how do you look at scenes like that? How do you look at like the Rainbow Road scene and then be like, yo, this is a bad movie? Like, how do you? Like, that's what I'm saying. Nintendo biases aside.
That means that they didn't. You know what it is? That means that they weren't kids. You know what I mean?
And you know,
they weren't kids with souls. Like if you don't, it's hard to kind of. I understand killing the movie, like if you're gonna be that picky about stuff, but like you know,
because if you tell yourself you're not gonna have a good time, you won't, right?
Yeah, exactly. But like, it's hard to not have a good time with this one, especially as a kid who played an NES. You know what I mean? Who played Super Mario Brothers?
There are so many scenes that like the way they're directed and then like your perspective as an audience get like thrown into it. Like the kart scene with like the Donkey Kong intro scene where you like watch them drive down the thing. And it's like, how do you look at that stuff and then tell me it's a bad movie? Like, I don't see. That's where I'm like, I don't get that stuff. I'm like, yo, just animation shit alone.
I'm like, you just hate life.
Like just like, and the scene where Bowser's castle comes and crashes down.
Oh, that looks Peach. So like, good, dude.
Yeah,
that
like,
looks...
how do you look at that and say,
that
like,
looks choice.
Like Illumination just does not get their credit, and I get it. You look at Minions, you look at the Grinch, and you're like, Illumination studio, they go for the lowest common denominator. Yeah, but when they do that for Mario. You know what
though, man? I have to defend Illumination. Like they've been pumping out quality, like animated movies for a hot minute now, man. Even their Grinch was actually pretty darn decent. I liked it.
I just saw Rise of Gru recently, and yeah, I was telling you.
There you go.
I'm like, yo, I liked the Gru stuff. Yeah, I'm like, yo, this was
the Rise of Gru.
movie.
Like I was a big fan of the Minions movie with Sandra Bullock as the bad guy.
First one, right?
Yeah, with the Scarlet Overkill, right? And they were like in the Buckingham Palace and stuff with the Queen. That was fun. They know how to animate. They have a very smooth curvature kind of animation to all their characters. Looks very nice, and they really know how to like light stuff. Like Pixar was the one who used to be like to get all the cred for the filmmaking aspect of animation, right? But Illumination has been doing fantastic work, and this is just another example.
If Pixar came out with this movie and it was exactly the same, how much you want to bet it would have been treated better? 1,000%.
Yeah, this Elemental movie is gonna fucking get like a 99 on Rotten Tomatoes, bro. Oh my god, look at all the elements, how cool they look.
Yeah, and you know what? There we go. See, you stack Elemental to Super Mario, and you're like, come on.
Yeah, come on, Shelly. Come on.
And that's it on that for me.
That is a wrap, folks. Go pay for Super Mario Brothers. Any way you can get it, go watch it. You can definitely wait for Dungeons and Dragons unless you're a big D&D fan. Then go pay for that. But folks, thank you for listening. This is episode 147 of the Morgue Official Corpsefeed podcast. I am Arturo Padilla, the guy behind the face, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Big shout out to Del Virus for the artwork. A big shout out to you guys for listening. We have 146 of these things in the archives for you guys. Go check us out anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Even on the desktops, you can find us on there, folks. You can catch us on Corpsefeed.com. The episodes are on there. Most importantly, you can catch us on YouTube Live every Thursday at 4:20. You can watch this episode drop, folks, and catch the rest of the shows in the archives. Also, thank you so much for listening. We know you guys are listening to the old stuff that we have in the archives. We really appreciate you guys. If you have any like comments, reviews, anything like that, just send it our way.
Yeah, I mean, we appreciate you. Like, we're keeping you company at work, and we appreciate that. So like,
absolutely.
Please tell us if you don't agree with. That's the other thing too. If you don't agree, whatever. Like, we would love to know.
Just let us know. We are being worked over here for a busy April, going into a busy summertime, folks. Because next week we got a Pope's Exorcist and Renfield for them. So another double feature coming up heavy with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie coming out on Netflix, folks. It's going to be a good one next week. And remember, it's a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.